What is going on, all of you vampires and Castlevania fans out there in the world? I'm Mega Am, so thank you for watching this review video. Whether you are a new or returning viewer, I appreciate you stopping by. And today I am reflecting on my time recently playing Castlevania Symphony of the Night for the very first time. This game released originally in 1997 on the PlayStation 1, so it's almost 3 decades old, if you can believe that. I am playing it via the Xbox 360 Live Arcade version, and I know there's a collection, I think, with the Bloodlines on the PlayStation 4, I want to say. But overall, really enjoyed my time with this game. The way I want to structure this review, I'm going to be playing it alongside, but the majority of it will be light to no spoilers, and then near the end, I'll kind of dive deep into spoilers, because there are some stuff, including certain boss fights I want to talk about and mention as some highlights or weaknesses. But with that, let's start with the light to no spoiler section of the review. If you don't know Castlevania, this was the era of Castlevania because it's gone through a few different genres, right? Castlevania started out on the NES as like this platformer, 2D platformer action kind of game. It was very level based. You go level to level, beat a certain boss, and progress. Usually playing as Simon Belmont, some other characters in there, but it was Simon for a while. 3 kind of threw things off, but essentially this game is very different because if you've heard of the Metroidvania genre of games, this was one of the core pillars for that. Of course, Metroid games already existed. A few existed at this time, but this game in particular really kind of set that in stone. So essentially the way it works is you have Dracula's castle to explore in the game. So we're playing as Richter for now at the very start, which is kind of cool. It picks up pretty much shortly after or near the end of Bloodlines. Castlevania lore experts, let me know in the comments below, because I've only played a few here and there, and this is the only one I've beaten, actually, just as a fun little tidbit. You play as Alucard, and you're exploring Dracula's castle. You slowly upgrade, beat certain bosses, and you kind of like if you've played a Metroid game before, you're blocked off from progression in certain areas based on abilities you don't have yet. Once you unlock those abilities, you can go back to those areas and progress through further, which is really, really fun. We're gonna get this whole sequence here. If you've seen this, you've probably seen some memes from this section before of this game. It's a cool way to start a game. Like it throws your expectations out the window, which is genuinely really, really fun. But this is not. This is just kind of setting up the background story for the game, and we'll jump into the actual gameplay with Alucard soon. Because Alucard, to me, is really fun to control. He's a lot more fluid than like Richter or Simon, they're kind of like tanks a little bit, and more limited in movement. Alucard has a lot of options, a lot of cool. There it is, the classic. A lot of cool movement options you can do, and you can unlock all sorts of different abilities throughout the castle. And like, for being a game that's almost 30 years old, it's honestly like the exploration holds up quite well. Another thing that you might notice pretty much immediately off the bat is the pixel art. This game is absolutely gorgeous. It just genuinely looks really, really good, even to this day. I mean, I love pixel art, so it's great to see a game with such good pixel art represented like this. There we go. So it's honestly really, really beautiful in its own regard. It's one of those games that doesn't age super well. I mean, kind of. It's aged a little bit. You know, it's a little chunky. That might partly be due to like the HD upres with this version, but couldn't tell you for sure. This is going to take a little bit, unfortunately, before we jump into the legit gameplay. But like I was saying earlier, for being a game from 1997, like I feel like it still holds up pretty well. There are a few cryptic secrets here and there, but I didn't find it to be like too much. Just like a little bit. Like it doesn't have a lot of the modern design sensibilities that a lot of Metroidvanias have today, which is like, I mean, should almost be expected considering this is one of the earliest cases of a Metroidvania, and it was very inspirational for the genre. So you almost shouldn't expect there to be a lot of the modern conveniences that newer ones have. So keep that in mind. This version, I don't know if this version adds too much. I feel like if it does add more like accessibility options, I didn't explore it, but keep that in mind as well. Like I don't even think there's a rewind or save states in this version. I would love for them to, bring this onto modern platforms to introduce some of those features to it. I'm surprised with all the Castlevania collections we've been getting that they haven't brought this one yet. Maybe because the PS4 one exists and that wasn't that long ago. Oh crap. Oh no, I'm gonna die. Oh, thanks, Maria. At least I believe that's Maria. If I played Bloodlines, I would. Hell yeah, give me all the animals. If you played, I think it's Bloodlines. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, Castlevania lore experts, but that would make some more sense there. But hopefully it's not the only revive I get. Because otherwise I'm looking a little... Oh, okay. Oh no, the big old transformation. Yeah, so this whole sequence is cool. Like, this is a really good, like, setup for the game. Like, look at the background, look at the pixel art. Pixel art's beautiful. Oh yeah, we're almost done here. Honestly, the first phase is more difficult. Beat him! This cannot be! So the intro is kind of funny as we get thrown into here. The voice acting's not good though. Like, I'll be the first to fully admit that, but it's kind of cheesy. I like it. But like, really, what this game comes down to, what it really needs to nail. I wish I could skip this for you. What it really needs to nail is the presentation, not only, which it definitely does, but also just the gameplay of exploring the castle. And I do think this game does quite a good job of doing that. Like I said earlier, Alucard is very fun to control. He's very fluid. There are lots of different weapons you can equip that have different effects. Some are double-handed, some single-handed. There are shields for defense. You know, there's different armor sets that have different abilities, increase different stats. I didn't fully understand some of the stats because there's like intellect, there's strength. Strength maybe is extra damage, but then attack is a separate stat, so I didn't fully understand that. If any of you have played this game, let me know. Because there's attack and defense, those are straightforward, but the other ones I didn't fully understand. So definitely let me know in the comments below if you've played this game and you know exactly what those stats correspond to in gameplay. Because I feel like they didn't do a super good job of doing that here. But exploring the castle itself is super fun. My thing with this game is the first few hours, for me at least, were rough. Really, really tough to get through. Like, that boss fight at the beginning is fine, right? They make it easy enough for you to get through. And I think they might give you infinite revives, honestly, with Maria's help there. But the first few hours of exploring the castle as Alucard was a bit of a struggle for me. It reminded me a lot of the difficulty of some of the older Castlevania games, like Castlevania 1, Castlevania 3. Maybe not quite as bad as Castlevania 3. That one's really tricky. And like, I would struggle a lot. I was dying a lot. Granted, I'm not great at Castlevania. Like I said, this is the first Castlevania game I've ever beaten. So definitely I'm not the best Castlevania player. But like, it was kind of frustrating for a while. There were certain bosses that were just killing me left and right, and it just, that part kind of was not the most fun. Always coming in hot. At least I think. There he is. There's our boy Alucard. Super cool. Look at the after image. I love the after image. It reminds me of like Sonic Advance 2 does the same thing. We're sneaking in, and now we have made it. So you can see this whole menu here with, yeah, your health. Your MP is your magic that gets played into in a little bit. And yeah, the hearts in this game, it's kind of a weird thing that Castlevania has always done. Hearts are like your ammo for special weapons that you can get, or sub weapons as they call them, which, you know, can range from like holy water that you throw creates a pillar of fire to I'm trying to think of the ones in this game. There's the book or the Bible, whatever they call it, that kind of spins around you. That's one of my favorites. There are a few. If you've played Vampire Survivors, you may recognize some of the weapon types from that game. Actually, they take quite a bit of inspiration. So you got your map here. I will say the map is not the most intuitive. I think I'd probably put it on par with like Super Metroid's map, which isn't the best map, right? It's a little outdated in that regard. They do like show you like entryways. They show you easily where you are, and they do label save rooms and fast travel points, which you can unlock eventually with enough exploration. But not too much besides that. So you can see here we have the attack button, the shield, and just the map button for now. But there's all sorts of abilities that you can unlock with Alucard here, but not too many. It's kind of a cool set piece. Like, this game nails its atmosphere even this many years later, right? Almost 30 years later. I think it's still, oh, and here we go. The music's kicking in. The music is great in this game. It definitely nails that aspect of it. It's just, like I was saying earlier, like, those first few hours were honestly really tough for me to get through. A lot of it was getting used to just enemy attack patterns and boss patterns. And yeah, you can level up and you get some more health points, you get some more magic points and stuff like that. But like, presentation-wise, it's great. Just like those first few hours were tough for me to get through. I genuinely, though, like, if you try to play this game and you end up in the same position as me, where you're just getting frustrated because like you keep replaying the same sections over and over again, I wouldn't give up yet, because there was something that clicked for me. I think it was when I figured out how to use the spells, which, to be honest, were completely by accident. I don't know if there's something in the game that explains to you how to use spells. Definitely let me know in the comments if there is, because I couldn't figure it out. At one point, I was just randomly mashing buttons, and then I learned one of the spells that helped me recover health, and I was like, wait a minute. That's interesting. So they're kind of like fighting game inputs where you want to use the directional input and then like usually like whatever attack button or whatever it is in combination. And I wonder if there is a way in the game to figure it out. Like I said, let me know in the comments below if you've played this game and there is a way in-game to figure it out, because I only figured out most of the spells. I doubt I got them all, but I only figured out most of the spells by just trial and error, just messing around with the directional buttons and figuring it out. But once I figured out those spells, those really, really saved me. Oh, look who it is.
What is your business here?
Hey, Death. You gotta love Death when he shows up.
Put an end to this.
Yeah, the presentation's just so good. It still holds up. But the exploration of the castle itself, I think part of it is just the presentation, how fun it is to see new locales. Like, for me, locales don't blend in together. They all feel very unique, and they're kind of segmented off by doors, the different areas of the castle. So you'll know when you're... Oh, no! You'll know when you're entering a new area. And it feels completely different when you do that. And now we can only punch. They literally pulled a Metroid on us, losing all our power-ups at the very beginning of the game. So yeah, I don't know, it's just, exploring the castle itself is quite fun. It's just, those first few hours, if you were like me, and it gets really tough and you get frustrated, just like stick with it a little bit longer, try to push through, which is tough to say because, you know, in this day and age when we only have so many time to play games, right? It can be a little demoralizing. You know, it was for me at the very beginning to be like, I really want to finish this game. Now we can equip some stuff here, but like, it was tricky. It was tough. You know, I'm not going to say I didn't struggle with it a little bit at the beginning, but once I learned the spells, once I got more abilities, it just really clicked. And then it was still challenging for sure. As you can see, we can't go this way, but it was like very rewarding once I felt like I was comfortable enough. I got used to like enemy attack patterns and stuff, and the game itself is not that long. Like, it really is not that long. Let's see, is this a... No, it's actually a weaker weapon. Interesting. You can see the attack stats on the right as well as defense. And yes, I think it's strength. I don't even know what the second one is. Intellect and luck, I think, are those four. And there we go, we got a save point. Which the save points, I feel like, are pretty generous. I feel like there could be a few more here and there, especially early on when you're trying to push through the castle and really explore everything. I was hoping for a few more, but it genuinely is really fun. Like I said, the music's great, the presentation's great. It's just, it takes a bit. You can also get these relics, which do different effects. So if I go into relics here, the Cube of Zoe causes items to materialize. So I think that's just like, you can technically turn them off, which is interesting. It adds a lot of customization to the game. I personally didn't do that. I just left them all on. But you know, the ones that I could have on the same time. But yeah, they show you like different areas you can go through. And just, man, the soundtrack's great. And the game just looks really good, even for today's day and age. I don't know. It's definitely not for everybody if you're not a fan of pixel art, but yeah, my biggest like annoyance was just those first few hours just trying to get through this game were quite tricky. And then eventually I was able to, with enough time, get to a point where I felt comfortable going through and like taking on bosses and enemies. And even then it was still challenging, but like a good kind of challenge, not like super frustrating. It's just once you get over that hurdle, at least for me, like that's what did it. These enemies are tough. You know, then it really clicked for me. So I really would give it a chance. Even if you end up getting stuck, like keep trying a few different times. A lot of the bosses and enemies come down to learning their attack patterns, which if you don't like that game, you might not like this one as much. But if you're willing to like be a little patient with it and fully explore, I think it's a really good game. Like, I completely understand after having beaten the entire game, almost 100% completing it, I got, well, I won't say the percentage because that might be spoilers. But I ended up getting almost the full completion percentage possible in this game just because I enjoyed exploring so much. It's just genuinely like the exploration as a Metroidvania fan, as someone who's played a lot of the Metroid games, I actually found it really fun. I think I prefer this game to something like a Super Metroid. I feel like, especially with the movement options and the ability options, there's a lot more variation here. And it makes me excited to eventually check out like the Castlevania Advanced Collection, hopefully the DS Collection one day, and play some more of those. Considering this is where it started, I feel like it can only get better, but we'll see. Yeah, so definitely gets a recommend for me even after all these years. If you're a Metroidvania fan, for sure, just keep in mind, like, if you're like me and you maybe aren't the best at Castlevania games, the beginning can be a little frustrating, but if you push through, you upgrade enough, you get to a point where you feel comfortable with the equipment you have, it can be really, really fun to explore and just take down enemies and really enjoy yourself. So that is going to do it for the light to no spoiler section of this review. I'm going to spend a few minutes here just going into some spoilers with this game that I want to mention. So I'll give you a few minutes to click away if you do not want to be spoiled. All right, I'm going to jump into my other save file and talk about some of the stuff here. So my completion percentage was at, 199%. I think there was at least one room in the inverted castle I was missing. By the way, the inverted castle was my favorite part of the game. Like, genuinely, yeah, there's a room up near the top right area. Not fully top right, but in that rightish area that I did not get to. I was trying to figure out, I couldn't even figure out how to get into it. I didn't feel like using a guide to fully do that. I did use a guide to fill in some of the map, I will say. Most of it I explored on my own, though, which was cool. But just genuinely really, really fun in that regard. A lot of fun boss fights. I'm still thinking about that boss fight that references Castlevania 3, where you have to fight kind of like, I think they're like corpses that are like Trevor, Sypha, and I think Grant was the other guy. Definitely correct me, Castlevania fans, if I'm wrong about that, but that was a really cool nod. Fighting Death was fun. Who was the one who was a Galamoth? What was the boss that gave me so much trouble in the inverted castle? The giant mecha-looking thing. Kind of reminded me of the Coloctos from Skyward Sword a little bit. Let me know in the comments below which one that was. That one was tough. Now, even like where I am now, that was really, really tough for me. In case anybody who's played this wants to know, what do I have right now? I have the Dark Blade, Alucard Shield, the Dragon Helm, the Walk Armor. Because by the time because I loved exploring the castle. And obviously that's the one that fills up, it increases your defense the more you explore. So like by the time I was done, like my defense was pretty high with that one alone, just because I explored so much. But yeah, honestly, like the equipment was fun to experiment with. The familiars were interesting. I ended up keeping the fairy familiar just because it's like, not having to pause and use potions or equip potions when I needed to. It's just automatic, which some people might like, some people might not. I did try the demon one for a bit, but some of the other ones, like the bat, the ghost, the sword. The sword, I thought it was cool. I tried it out for a little bit, but I didn't stick with it. Eventually got to a point where the fairy was just way higher level than any of the other familiars, so I didn't do that. The transformations were fun. I didn't really use the wolf that much. I don't want to go this. I want to go somewhere else. I really didn't use the wolf that much. Like, it took me a while to realize that they can swim. Like, okay, why can it swim? You know what I mean? That was interesting. Like, swim underwater was the weird part, but otherwise, I guess it runs quickly, but like, let me know in the comments below if there's something I missed with the wolf here. That's like a really useful ability. The mist I used a lot near the end of the game, especially once I got the poison mist cloud, but even before then, just to like avoid attacks during boss fights was really useful. And the bat, I think, was definitely my most used one, mainly for a traversal, especially in the inverted castle. I mean, it was super helpful to like get up high ledges and stuff, and it flies a little faster than the mist, so at least that's what it appears to be. So that was cool. I'm trying to think of my favorite sub weapon, like the Bible book, whatever it's called in this game. I mentioned that earlier. That's a fun one. The cross is really good, but it's overpowered. It has limited use, so I didn't love that. Yeah, I don't know. The axe was a classic. That's what I used to like break like certain like hallways or like weak walls and ceilings and stuff. But it's just, I don't know, man. The presentation of this game, like I said, the first few hours were really tricky for me. But once I got past a certain point, I figured out how to do like the blood recovery spell. Speaking of spells, these are the only ones I actually got. Oh, Wolf Charge. Oh, I didn't even try that. I didn't even know there was a thing. I used the Summon Spirit a lot. I used the Hellfire a lot. I didn't even try Soul Steel, Tetra Spirit. I didn't even try those. I want to see what Wolf Charge is. I kind of want to try that right now. Okay, Quarter Circle. But yeah, they're like the command, the fighting inputs. Not my favorite, but what are you going to do? Oh, I see. So you do like a big dash. Okay. Yeah, it's okay. I don't know. The wolf was interesting. I wish the wolf wasn't as slow just right off the bat. It was kind of interesting how that worked out. So not my favorite there, but still it was fun to experiment with the different abilities and stuff. There are a lot of abilities in this game and a lot of customization. And just like the core exploration gameplay of the castle is really, really fun as someone who really likes Metroidvanias. It's limited, of course, you know, by its age, right? It was one of the first big Metroidvania games to really establish the genre, besides, of course, Metroid. But it's, I don't know, I think it still holds up, especially if you can, you know, if you're like me, you can tolerate some older design elements. I think it still works quite well. Hey, don't jump on me, damn it. You know, I think it still holds up quite well. So, I don't know. I definitely really enjoyed my time with it. Once I got, nice. once I got past those first few hours that were just genuinely really tricky for me, I really did enjoy my time with it. But it took a little bit to settle in and really fully appreciate it. And of course, like I said before, the presentation is just fantastic. So listen, if you're a fan of Metroidvania games, I would highly recommend it. And just give it a chance if you do. If you do, give this game a chance. Just kind of to summarize everything here. Just, yeah, see how it goes. The first few hours can be really tough. But eventually, if you explore enough, you definitely want to explore to upgrade as much as you can, collect everything, and just feel like you're going at a comfortable pace. It can be tricky. And some of the spells and stuff can be difficult to learn. There's probably a way in game to figure it out. Let me know if there's in the comments below. But overall, I enjoyed my time with this game. Honestly, more than I expected. And as of now, it's the only Castlevania game I've beaten, which is great. And I'm looking forward to checking out some of the other ones in the future. But with that, that is going to do it for this review of Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on this game. If you've played it, let's keep it non-spoiler, please, for people who haven't. But let me know your overall thoughts on the game if you've played it. And if you haven't, you know, what's stopping you? No, what are you looking forward to the most about this game? But with that, that's going to do it for this review. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you all in the next video or live stream. And until then, I guess everybody go back in your coffins, because who knows when we're going to get another Castlevania game. Play Vampire Survivors. I'll see you later.